We're now in 2011 and Drake's career is evolving from like a love song R&B singer rapper to an attempted new image. An image of a rapper who should be taken seriously on the mic and also in the streets as well. I think it was an attempt to ditch the emotional soft rapper image to a more street adjacent character. 2011 he kinda starts rapping crazy on the tracks, and at first people were laughing at it, like, really? And if you can remember, it all peaked with his hit song headlines.
Tuck my napkin in my shirt cause I'm just mobbing like that. You know good and well that you don't want a problem like that. You gon' make someone around me catch a body like that. No, don't do it. Please don't do it, cause one of us goes in and we all go through it. And Drizzy got the money, so Drizzy gon' pay it. Those my brothers, I ain't even gotta say it. That's just something they know.
The bold lyrics made everyone laugh, including me. Like, what a joke, this Canadian rapper talking about someone around him catching bodies? Come on. Even Charlemagne the God would clown him for this on the radio.
Corny guy. Like, he's just a corny dude. In that new Headlines video, he looks extra corny. It's like, Drake, why are you thugging now? Why are you dressed all in black? Why you got on black gloves? Why you got a whole bunch of dudes around you dressed in black? And he has the most non-threatening looking goons I've ever seen in my life. Like, seriously, like they look like a flash mob that's about to run up in H&M and take everything. Like, none of them look like a threat. He has the most non-threatening looking goons I've ever seen in my life. None of them look like a threat.
Little did he know, most of these goons in the video are certified G-Way members who literally were during this time out sliding in the streets of Toronto.
The Toronto police say there's recently been a resurgence of the once notorious gang. And the young thugs who are running G-Way these days, just like their predecessors, are packing firearms and they're not afraid to use them.
In particular, two of these would be the guys I mentioned earlier, Adham and Ramon, and these guys, well, you'll see. That takes us to September 4th, 2011. By this point, the G-Way vs. Orton Park beef has split up most of Toronto, basically causing two sides to the city. For most people, this would be really bad news, but for G-Way, they were happy because now they had more people to slide on. And on this day, Ramon happens to see somebody who they just started beefing with post their location at a local Domino's. So literally for no reason at all, Ramon and Adham hop in their car and go slide to the Domino's. At 5:30 they spin around the block to see if they're still there, and unfortunately they have no squabbling on their minds. Instead, at 5:45 they stop their car outside and they start absolutely dumping into the Domino's. Glass shatters everywhere and everyone jumps down to the ground to take cover. 3 men are injured in the incident, but thankfully they survive after being rushed to the hospital. Still though, this was an absolutely insane idea by the G-Way members to just start blowing out of Domino's. What in the world? These guys are the literal definition of crash outs, like there's no squabbling going on for G-Way. Well, either way, after doing this, you'd think that these guys would want to duck low and stay out of the way of Toronto police, you know, leave the street life alone for the meantime. But nope, just 2 months later, Ramon would crash out again. And that takes us to November 4th, 2011, 11 p.m. It's nighttime in Scarborough and Ramon is trapping like any other night. In particular, he has a random customer named Daniel Fuller coming through to cop. And at 11:15, Daniel arrives, hops in Ramon's car, and they go through to discuss the deal. Somehow out of nowhere, the simple interaction turns into an argument where Ramon gets furious and belligerent with Daniel. And unfortunately for no reason, Ramon whips out and starts unleashing. Daniel is rushed to the hospital where he thankfully survives, however he is paralyzed for life. Sadly, this was yet another example of the senseless violence caused by the Galloway boys. But thankfully, Toronto police would put their best foot forward and arrest them for all of their crimes. Still though, the point is that while Drake and all his goons are being clowned for, you know, being soft and all that, they were actually in the field catching bodies and causing havoc. Oh, and believe me, it gets much worse. December 30th, 2011. It's 11 in the morning in Orton Park, and a young man is leaving his apartment on his way to the bus stop. This would be Dimitri Barnaby, a 24-year-old who has no gang affiliations whatsoever. He just so happens to live in Orton Park. Well, unfortunately, on this exact morning, G-Way members are rolling around Orton Park looking for rivals. And at 11:15, they happen to spot Dimitri leaving his building headed for the bus stop. For whatever reason, they assume that he's affiliated with the rivals and they instantly target him. Sadly, 2 Galloway members hop out of an SUV and run him down. This was yet another case of mistaken identity at the hands of Galloway, a sick continuous trend from the evil crew. Unfortunately, over the next couple of years, it would only get worse and worse, shooting after shooting after shooting after shooting. But then, thankfully, in 2014, Toronto police would take them down in a major way.
In the fall of 2011, during a 4-month period, number 43 Division saw a significant increase in the number of shooting incidents between 2 groups identified as the Galloway Boys Gang and the Orton Park Gang, who attempted to occupy control of that area or turf.
In conclusion, 41 Galloway members were arrested, resulting in the complete dissemination of their gang. It was all over. Well, at least for the meantime. And pertaining to Drake, well, this meant that his power in the streets went all the way down. All of those Galloway members who he used to run with and would be in his music videos, well, all those guys were now locked in the feds. Actually, I shouldn't say all, because the one guy who was the closest to Drake somehow ducked the indictment. This, of course, would be Chubbs, Drake's #1 enforcer and really the only reason he was connected to Galloway. Well, after the scary indictment and almost losing his #1 enforcer, Drake would move forward to disassociate Chubbs from the gang life and instead introduce him to the OVO life. This meant that he would hire him as full-time security, shout him out on Instagram, and even mention him in a bunch of songs. Although he was known in the Toronto streets, in America, nobody took Chubbs seriously. But then, all that would be put to bed in the summer of 2014.